Running an agency doesn't have to feel like juggling flaming chainsaws. At Schmidt Consulting Group, we help you ditch the chaos, land more clients, and even enjoy running your business again. No fluff, no BS, just strategies that actually work. Check us out at schmidtconsulting.group because your agency deserves better.
Welcome to Schmidt List. Today, Jay Kallman, a seasoned marketing expert turned agency founder, dives into the nuances of franchise marketing and the power of authenticity in B2B relationships. Discover insights that could transform your business approach.
Jay, how are you?
I am so good.
Tell the audience a little bit about your journey. So where do we start? Where are we at these days? And what are we doing?
I have been, let's say, marketing, 15 plus years, mainly on the franchise supplier side, filling franchisees and different entrepreneurs, business owners, various things, whether it be SaaS or leadership and development, essentially helping businesses be successful. And I do that through marketing and or supporting the marketing. And now today I'm in this new era of starting my own agency, which has been gnarly in so many awesome ways and challenging and all the things. And it's called Revy Marketing, because what I know for sure over my time is we really have to be focused on the end result. I'll want to grow something, and oftentimes that comes down to revenue and build the engine. So that's what I'm up to. I am working with other businesses doing that.
Let's talk a little bit about the franchise side of things, because that's something I'm just not as familiar with. I find it fascinating, the idea, because you work directly with a business, you're working with in terms of marketing, but with a franchise, it's like you've got all these siblings, or not even siblings, I don't know what it is, but like you've got all these peers or something that all have to not only probably have in some way or be communicated to, versus maybe just like a singular pillar inside of a business. Maybe you could explain to me the differences between working in a franchise model when it comes to marketing and branding and messaging, and what are some of the challenges there versus maybe just working with a singular business?
I think there are many, but when I say working with franchises, I'm coming at it from a supplier side. For example, I spent 10 years at a leadership and development company where we had, let's say, a franchise client that came to us because they wanted to be able to add value to their system through leadership and development offerings. And so it is really more about delivering a product solution to be able to drive engagement and ultimately be able to enhance their system in some kind of way. My experience is on that enablement program, right? How do you enable, once, let's say, a brand or franchise or buys a leadership and development, for example, we'll just start there, initiative, then how do you roll that out? So a lot of what I have done is working on the B2B supplier side, but it's enabling them. So it's building that whole different process in which you roll that out into a system. Because you're right, you have the brand level and then you have franchisees, and how you get that across the system. There's a lot of it is transparency and rolling it out in a way that reduces any kind of ripple in their system and just really surprises and delights.
Yeah, I can see that, because the idea of working with the business, but then making sure that they can spread it out. That's a pretty common challenge that I see. If you're working with a leadership team, they need to be able to spread it out to other people inside of the organization, other departments and things like that. I find it interesting because with the franchisee model, it's all these sub businesses within the business too. Seems like there would be an extra layer of communication challenges just inherently with that kind of model.
Totally. And so that's why you leverage understanding what's in their system. So what's within that franchisor's system meaning how are they currently communicating with their franchisees? And then how do we bridge those different channels in order to get the word out? So it might be talking with FBCs, which are franchise business coaches, and letting all the frontline communications know before it's rolled out. So that once it's rolled out, franchisees know, or the FBCs know, oh, okay, I've got the answers to that. No worries. Versus, hey, what is this new program or what is this new rollout? And then them being like, I have no idea. And then everybody's all up in arms. So it's transparency and just figuring out what is the best way to roll that out and how do you make it seamless?
That's great. I've had so many of those challenges, working either with leadership teams or being on a leadership team. And just like you said, like anytime somebody comes in and dumps something on your desk and is like, here's the new SOP. Let us know if you have any questions. Bye. And you're like, what's going on? What happened here?
And with that. And honestly, Revy is focused on, when I'm thinking about working with franchise brands, it's also in this capacity of new and emerging brands. And how do you align sales, marketing, and operations in order to grow the biz? Right? When you are a new and emerging brand, you're really focused on just getting more units out there and getting them onboarded and up and running and profitable. And I am excited about being able to come in and being able to share, like, here are the processes in which you do that. And here's the data that we want to look at. And here's how we connect. And tying it all together, because I think just in marketing in general and leadership, I would say, there is such an opportunity for alignment. And marketing is that unique group in which we touch all things in the business. And if we're not, then that's an issue. But so how do you create then that alignment across the org? And because at the end of the day, it's about an experience. And for your specs, for your customers, and if all of those aren't aligned, then it's a struggle.
Yeah. Is there any specific challenges you're seeing over the last year and into this year that these people are struggling with, maybe more so than they've had before?
I think it comes back to foundation.
Okay.
Like, so much of why I'm being pulled in is around a crack in the foundation. And when I say that, I'm saying maybe they don't know their customer as well as they thought they did.
Oh, sure.
Maybe that they don't know how to connect to them, especially in this world of AI, which, by the way, I love, but I also feel like there's such an opportunity for brands to be really focused on building trust and building that experience and making people feel really seen. Because without that, I think your brand will struggle.
Yeah. And do you work mostly with B2B sort of organizations or all across? Yeah. And that's the challenge that I've found a lot. And a lot of people ask me, what's working in marketing and B2B? And I'm like, look at the 1960s and let's see what they were doing then, because that stuff's working now, right? I'm seeing where like conferences are coming back, print even sometimes, right? Because I had a guy tell me last year, he's like, their inboxes are full, but their mailboxes are empty. And so there's all these old school tactics that seem to be coming back in a way. And those worked a lot in the 60s and 50s because it built trust. It built trust with that brand and who they were. Now, again, obviously, we're telling probably different stories than they were back then. But if it's true that the medium is the message, right, you got to look at like how you're delivering things versus just how many Facebook ads are you running or things like that, right?
Oh, 100%. Like, I am a lover of data. Don't get me wrong. I look at that as the compass. But the conversion tactic is being human. It's showing up and showing your customer that you see them and that you know their pain. And one thing I'm seeing a lot is beautifully written copy, but it's so beautifully written, you're wondering what the hell it really says. Oh, like, no, say the thing. Know their pain. That's another thing where I'm like, where sales and marketing have such an opportunity is, as a marketer, if you aren't talking to customers and talking to your sales team regularly, you're missing out because you need to intimately understand the pain and be able to feel it even that your customer is experiencing, and then just say the thing that you're solving. Don't sound fancy, F the fluff, just save the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it's one of the smartest things I've heard in a while, because that's what people are struggling with, is because they're trying to sell their customers. They're not trying to understand the customers as much. And that's what I'm finding, especially in the B2B space, is that these leaders that I'm talking to, they want to be understood first. And then they want an idea of what options do I have to help solve my problem. And what a lot of people are doing is just their pitch, and they're wondering, why isn't this landing? Why is nobody calling me back? I think part of the problem is that a lot of the businesses that I've been a part of over my career, where we're providing services to clients, right? We're in a different business than they are. And if you don't build a culture of really understanding of who your clients are and what they struggle with, and trying to do the research and try, walk a mile in their shoes kind of stuff, you're going to really struggle these days in scaling and growing your business.
100%. Yeah. If your topic is using optimized efficiencies, workflows, like I can encourage you to look at that again and say, I say with them, what's in it for me?
Yep.
Like, that is really where to focus. What's that mean? Is that saving me time? Cool. Save that. Like,
right.
How's it alleviating my pain?
Yes. How? Yeah. And what's the ROI going to be? What can I count on for the impacts of this work? What is it actually going to be? And I'm sure as you started your own business, you're getting pitched all the time too, just like I am. And you're just look at some of these things and you're like, does this work for you? Does this actually work? And there's times where it's funny, because I have friends that give me crap, because I'll respond to people on LinkedIn or email, and I'll be like, what's your conversion rate with this? Is this working for you? And it's pretty rare that they respond. Usually they take me off their list pretty quickly. But every once in a while, I'll get somebody to respond like, oh, we're getting about like a 1% return or something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was just really curious. I was just really curious, because he just did a workshop recently, and part of the workshop was talking about that. Even look, whatever your target area is, about 3% of them are in buying mode right now. At any given time, they're ready to buy. And that's just 3% of them. And the rest of them, the timing just isn't right yet. And you've got to stay in touch with them. You've got to stay front of mind. So I wanted to ask you, Jay, what are some strategies and things that you've seen that have worked well for you when you're doing that customer research or that outreach to figure out what to bring back to your clients? What sort of stuff has worked for you? Do you do interviews? Do you do surveys? What sort of stuff do you do to pull in more data on the customer's needs and wants?
I think it's talking to your customers. Like, hey, asking sales, who's someone that you've got a good relationship with that would hop on the phone for 20 minutes? I found surveys, for me, have not been super effective at least with really low response rates. But I think it's very much so customer dependent. So that could just be also industries. I think you should try a bunch of different things and see what works. And don't just try it once, try them a few times so you can vet whether or not that really was a miss or something that worked really well. But I think creating a sense of community, there is this idea that I keep thinking of. And as I'm looking at other different concepts and things that are working well for people, it's creating a sense of community. I think people want to feel a part of something. So if you do that with your brand, then you have immediate intel on what they need, their pain. You're building brand advocates. And I think the worry is, oh no, what if then all of a sudden they revolt and don't like something? Man, that's an opportunity. That's like a great play to swoop in and be like, hop on the phone, tell me more about this, because we want to fix it. To me, anything that comes up is, oh no, or we don't like that. That's an opportunity for you to get in there and be like, thank you so much for raising a hand.
Yeah, I think people struggle with this idea because you've got it's a formal relationship. You give me money, I give you time. that sort of stuff. And it inherently, I've seen, and especially in the agency world, the people are just scared to talk to their customers about anything other than the project or the deliverables or the things that they're working on. And I think one of the things we did really well at Foundry, my agency previous, I mean, we would take our clients out to lunch regularly and we wouldn't talk about the project. We'd be like, what are you working on? What's happening? How's things going? You got engaged. That's really cool. You're building a relationship with them. Yes, you're taking their checks and things, but you're also understanding what they're struggling with outside of your project, because every time you're in there doing something, there's a million other things that are happening in that business that could be impacting your project or could be hitting it from different ways. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with an agency where they're like, all of a sudden this client just quit or stopped the project or work, and we've been working on this forever. And I was like, what do you mean all of a sudden? You probably should have seen it coming, or you should have had some sort of insight into these other struggles that were going on there. And if you didn't, that's really not on the client. Sure, yes, there's clients that'll hold things very close to the vest and not share those things. But if you're not working really hard to break that barrier into, no, we're a trusted partner, because I hate when people say partnerships, but they're not really partners. They're just vendors. They're like, oh no, we partner with our clients. Do you understand what that word means?
That's part of the reason why I created Revy, like looking to be able to go beyond that very transactional agency relationship to really be like, I see you as a human being. I see your customers as a human being. I was just talking to somebody and they're like, your values on your website are a little different than what you used to seeing. And there, for example, clear is kind, exactly what you're saying, right? And I got that from Brene Brown. I love her. And it's all about, hey, transparency. Like, it doesn't behoove anybody to not call out the elephant in the room. Working with us, you're going to get that. We'll just say it to you straight, right? Like, it's just there.
Yep.
Figure it out. And
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be honest. And honestly, will set you apart from so many other people that they're working with, because they're used to having people like, yeah, whatever you need, what do you say, whatever you want, and just keep sending the checks. And then they're surprised, like I said, when there's no ROI, right? And they're like, I did everything you told me to do. And they're like, yeah, but we didn't get anything we needed. So, and again, like I learned this the hard way. This was in early agencies that I worked at, we just, whatever the customer wanted, that's what you did. And then over time, like I said, you find out that what they said they wanted is not actually going to help them. And you weren't paying attention, right? You're just taking orders. You're not like worried about what business decisions they're making. And then you wonder why everything is so transactional, and turnover happens really quickly. And you get priced out of things very quickly as well, because people are like, oh, I'm just looking for a cheap option. And people fall in that trap all the time.
Oh, yeah. As not owning my own, as hiring agency,
right.
I've been on both ends of it right now at this point. And you want to, it comes down to the basics of being a human. Again, wanting to be heard and seen. That's it.
And the more that you can do that, the better. Let me ask you, Jay, like what's some of the advice you're giving people around how to actually do that? What are some tips or tactics that you would suggest to maybe people listening that they should be exploring in order to build that trust in those relationships?
I think when it comes to showing up at the marketplace, and I'm thinking my lens is B2B, but I think this could be applicable to all different things, even beyond work, it's personalization and coming back to really knowing who your customer is, but beyond add their name in the email. Like,
right.
Name and company no longer are enough. I want you to see me. I want you to speak to me like you would, as if you knew exactly what I was going to be doing the rest of the day. Know what hurdles and challenges I'm going to be experiencing. So that's it. Sounding like a human and really segmenting your customers. I think that's number one. I think, as I've mentioned, knowing their pain and in just plain language, like just what is it? What are they trying to solve? I mentioned community. I think that's another way to really stand out, and planting some Easter eggs, like thinking about their whole journey and their experience and put in those moments. And it could be personalized, like having someone from sales send a note, or knowing a customer's anniversary and sending something like that. And you can automate that and have it feel authentic too. It doesn't all have to be this time intensive thing, but even some of your customers, it's like putting in Google alerts, so that you know when some big news happens, and all of a sudden then there they are popping up in your news feed, and you just have to send them a 2-minute email to be like, hey man, this was really cool. Do it with your prospect. Just again, basic humanness. They feel we're craving that. And as things that just change every single day with tech and AI, I want real copy. I want to sound like you.
And that's why I think you see these explosions of why TikTok is resonating so well with younger folks in terms of an ad platform, right? Because people can smell within 2 seconds if that's a highly produced thing or if it's an honest message. They're very good at deciphering that. And those kids are going to grow up and become high-powered buyers in places and things too. And that expectation of the Super Bowl type commercial, while it's cute, that's not going to get you a sustainable business in the long run.
It makes me think of this thing around simplicity. Be a minimalist. When you come to your comms and your marketing, like, what are the bare necessities that you need? You don't need all the frills. I think of we've got Super Bowl coming up. Some of the best commercials almost every year are those low production, like just basic humanness again showing up. Not one commercial that was was it the Bitcoin commercial where it was just the movement on the screen and everybody, what is that?
Because it's not crazy overproduced thing with Beyonce or Kardashian or McConaughey in there. The more I find that too, because just because it's B2B, you're still selling to people. Like I know people love to separate B2B and B2C. It makes sense from what type of how you're segmenting your messaging and things, but you got to remember that you're not talking business to business. It's still person to person.
Oh my gosh, yes. You're serving them, let's say it's SaaS, you're providing them with a tool. And why are they buying that? I don't want to fail. I want something that's going to help me. I want to excel in my job. I feel like I want to get a feather in my cap about this. So like, it's so much deeper than what your tool does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was talking with a great salesperson just the other day, and they're like, yeah, think about like DeWalt. They don't sell drills, they sell holes in walls. Like they sell, it's the end result that you got to be focused on. And that's what you got to be pitching folks. Because again, it's a much easier relationship to build trust because they can see, do I feel like we're working towards that end result, which is what I bought, versus this company that has a lot of great big logos on their site and some testimonial and things like that. Can I actually feel the forward momentum? Can I actually feel that we're heading in the right direction? And that's how they're gonna stay with you.
Oh yeah. And I think energy is currency. That's one of our values. How you show up in the world matters. How you show up on a call matters. Say people's names. Like, just again,
simple stuff. I know.
Oh, just show up and be kind.
I know. All right, Jay, I could talk to you all day about this stuff, but we do have to cut it. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. If I want to get in touch with you or I want to learn more about Revy Marketing and the work that you're doing there, where do I go? Where do I find out more stuff?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for having me. First off, I could talk about this stuff all day long. Humans are fascinating. And you can find me at www.revy-marketing.com. And that's REVVY. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn, Jay Kallman, or Revy Marketing is also on LinkedIn. So go there. I'm also really stoked. I have an upcoming event, Women Driving Revenue, that's on February 27th. which I cannot wait. We probably won't talk a whole lot about revenue, to be honest. But it's at a really cool space, so check that out too. And thank you for having me on the podcast.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again sometime.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, we'd love it if you left a review on iTunes or Spotify. It makes a big difference. And be sure to check out schmidtconsulting.group for more ideas and insights. Remember, every big dream starts with a single step. Keep moving forward, stay curious, and don't forget, we're rooting for you. See you next time.